Think about it for a moment. Do you really believe you already know enough? That you've already educated yourself? That you have the knowledge? That you've learned everything you need to grow in life? Ah, my friend, the Stoics taught us that we should never stop learning, never stop cultivating our mind, never stop working to become a better version of ourselves day after day. And do you know why? Because staying stagnant makes you weaker, easier to manipulate, easier to deceive. While you take a break, while you settle into your couch, your stable job, your apparently sorted life, others are moving forward. And you know what? In a world moving 1,000 miles an hour, if you lose focus for even 2 seconds, you fall behind. But don't worry, today I'm going to show you how to become your smartest, wisest, and freest self. In this video, you'll learn how the Stoics educated their minds every single day, how they always stayed one step ahead of 99% of people. Get ready, because these lessons will pull you out of your comfort zone and push you to grow relentlessly. Because if you don't educate yourself, if you don't train, if you don't focus on improving every day, you'll never build the discipline, the character, or the courage you need to transform your life. Stick with me until the end, and trust me, you'll be glad you did. But first, stop for a moment. I want to tell you the story of someone who was convinced he already knew it all, until one single phrase, overheard by chance, made him realize just how much he still had to learn. His name was Matteo. He worked in an office with a view, had a decent salary, and the feeling that life was already figured out. Every morning he'd get up, put on his flawless suit, and walk as if nothing in the world could teach him anything new. He thought he had already beaten the game of life, but over the past few months, Matteo had started to notice something uncomfortable. In meetings, his colleagues brought fresh ideas to the table, and he stayed silent, not knowing what to say. In conversations, he kept hearing words he didn't understand, new concepts, technologies that sounded like another language. Until one day, his boss, 20 years younger than him, called him into the office and said, "Matteo, we need people who keep growing. It's up to you to decide if you want to be one of them." That afternoon, as he walked home with his head down, he passed by a park and stopped to watch a group of young people sitting in a circle. They were talking passionately about philosophy and science. Matteo, curious, stood a few steps away, pretending to check his phone while he listened in. At that moment, one of the guys, speaking clearly, said to another, "You can't be at the top if you stop climbing." Matteo felt those words pierce straight through his chest, but he kept listening. Then another one of them laughed and replied, "Exactly. And if you stay still for too long, the summit becomes your grave." Ah, those words were just too much for Matteo, especially after what his boss had said to him that very same day. He lowered his head, took a deep breath, and kept walking, the phrases echoing in his mind. That night, he couldn't sleep. He asked himself, "When was the last time I climbed the mountain? When was the last time I learned something new?" The next morning, still hearing that conversation in his head, Matteo arrived at work with a decision. During the mid-morning coffee break, he walked up to the group of co-workers who always seemed to have the best ideas, and for the first time, he spoke with humility. "Hey, I've noticed you're always one step ahead with new ideas, talking about things I don't understand. How do you do it? Where do you learn?" There was a brief silence. Then one of them smiled and replied, "By reading every day, listening to others, asking without fear. It's not magic, Matteo. It's about never stopping learning." From that day on, Matteo started spending every break with them to learn more. They guided him on which books to read, which courses to take, what topics to explore. He began waking up half an hour earlier just to read each morning. On the subway, he listened to audiobooks instead of scrolling on his phone. Little by little, in meetings, he started contributing more, with bold, fresh ideas. A month later, his boss called him back into the office, but this time he asked, "Matteo, where did that idea you shared in the meeting come from? It was brilliant." And Matteo, smiling, answered, "I got it from a conversation in the park." Ah, my friend, today I'm going to teach you the very same lessons Matteo started learning that morning. The same ones the Stoics practiced every single day to become better, wiser, and ahead of the rest. If you're ready, tell me in the comments. What are you going to learn today? Or just write, Stoic at heart. Today I start climbing the summit of wisdom. Let's begin. 1. Learn something new every day. Learning something new every day isn't just a nice little phrase they threw around in school. It's masterful life advice. Think of your mind as a muscle. If you don't train it, it rusts. So, when was the last time you really pushed it to work? And I'm not talking about those tasks you do on autopilot. I mean something that pulls it out of its comfort zone, something that forces it to think differently, imagine more, grow. Most people let their minds slowly shut down, trapped in empty distractions and meaningless routines. But you're not here for that. You're here because you want to be different, because you want to train your mind every single day and stay ahead of 99% of people. Let me tell you a fable. There was a blacksmith who sharpened his sword every morning, even when there wasn't a single battle on the horizon. His neighbors asked why he wasted time on something he didn't even use. He smiled and answered, "When the time comes to fight, there won't be time to sharpen it." Your mind is exactly that sword. If you don't sharpen it every day, when you're faced with a serious problem, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, or a tough decision, it won't be ready. And in that moment, it won't be the world that beats you. It'll be your own lack of preparation. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you fill your head with complaints, comparisons, and mindless entertainment, that will be the color of your life. Dull, lifeless. But if you feed your mind with powerful ideas, intellectual challenges, and fresh knowledge, the color you paint will be vibrant, strong, impossible to ignore. It's not magic, it's habit. Science backs this too. Sam Webster, in his podcast Growth Mindset Psychology, explains how developing an active growth mindset transforms your well-being, your discipline, even your happiness. He talks about people who didn't change anything external. They just committed to daily learning and saw radical change. Because as the Stoics said, learning something new isn't about collecting facts. It's about changing how you think. And when your thinking changes, your actions follow. And so does your life. Think about it. You're at work, and a new digital tool shows up. Nobody knows how to use it. Most people look away, days go by, no one adapts. Of course it's hard, it's a challenge, but you decide to investigate. You spend 5 minutes learning it, and suddenly you figure out how to streamline tasks that used to take hours. That one small decision to learn puts you one step ahead. That's the power of learning. It gives you an edge while others stay stuck. And no, I'm not telling you to get glued to your phone chasing every new trend or falling into a mindless spiral of videos. No, the opposite. The difference is in the intention. A mind that consumes without filter fills up with noise. A mind that chooses carefully fills up with clarity. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. It doesn't matter if you learn just one new idea a day, or if you spend 5 minutes reading a book that really interests you. What matters is that you do something every day that makes you think, that challenges you, that leaves you better than you were. And yes, I know, sometimes it gets hard. We're surrounded by infinite scroll, the TV, the phone. Everything's a mental trap these days, videos, memes, whatever it takes to keep you hooked without thinking. You think you're learning, afraid to miss something important if you don't check every post. But no, you're just wasting time and draining mental energy. Let me tell you a secret. I fell into that trap too, mindless consumption, until one day I said, enough. Now every piece of content I consume, I choose with intention. Podcasts that add value, books that challenge me, videos that teach me something useful. And the change was immediate. My mind woke up. More ideas, more clarity, more opportunities where before there was only boredom. This is what I need you to understand. Educating your mind daily isn't just another task. It's the foundation of everything else. An educated mind makes better decisions, handles problems more wisely, and adapts faster to change. While others react, you anticipate. While others complain, you move forward. That's the difference. So, are you ready to start training your mind every day with real intention? If you truly want to stand out and build a life worth living, do this. First, spend 10 minutes every morning reading something outside your comfort zone, a passage of philosophy, science, or history you've never explored. It doesn't matter if it feels hard at first. Your mind will get stronger from that challenge. Second, write down a new question every day. What didn't I know? What challenged me? These questions are seeds, and they'll grow new ideas in your mind. Third, share something you learned with someone, even if it's just in your personal notes or on your socials. Explaining what you know is the most powerful way to truly own it. Seneca left us a phrase you should carve into your memory. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Because learning never ends. And the one who thinks they already know everything is always the one missing the most. Every new idea you put into your mind is one more step toward becoming the person you want to be. So tell me in the comments, what are you going to learn today that will define who you are tomorrow? 2. Comfort is a modern trap. Tell me, how many times have you chosen comfort over growth? How many times have you said 5 more minutes and I'll get up, or I'll start the diet tomorrow? Today I want to challenge you to break out of that. Because they might seem like small, justifiable slips, but they're not. They're mirrors reflecting exactly why you're not moving forward in life. We live in a world where everything gets easier and easier to access. If you're hungry, you order food and it arrives hot at your door. If you're in pain, you pop a pill and it disappears. If you're bored, just one tap and you've got endless entertainment. And no, I'm not saying technology or medicine are bad. They're extraordinary advances. The problem is, we've come to believe that everything should be solved instantly. But nature has never worked that way. Patience, grit, sacrifice. Those are the qualities that truly build something solid. That forge character. The Stoics knew it. An easy life doesn't build a strong person. If you want to grow, you have to accept discomfort as part of the path. You won't always feel like reading, training, or exposing yourself to things that challenge you. But it's exactly in those moments, when you choose effort over ease, that your mind expands and strengthens. Picture an athlete training in the cold. He could stay warm and cozy at home, but he chooses to run against the wind. Every uncomfortable step builds endurance. Every drop of sweat makes him stronger. Your mind works the same way. If you always keep it comfortable, it doesn't grow. True learning happens when you push through discomfort, when you choose to go beyond what's easy. A complex book, a tough conversation, a subject you don't understand but decide to explore anyway. That's real mental training. Epictetus knew this better than anyone. He was born a slave with no freedom, no privilege. He could have given up, accepted his fate, and stayed where he was. But he chose the opposite. He stepped beyond what seemed possible and strengthened his mind with discipline and philosophy until he became one of the most influential thinkers in history. His life reminds us, there are no excuses. It doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is what you're willing to do to grow. Now let me ask you, do you think the greats in any field were forged without sweat, without effort, without learning how to endure? Do you believe success comes with comfort? Look at Michael Jordan. Ever heard of him? The greatest basketball player of all time, but as a teenager, he got cut from his high school team. He could have accepted the label of not good enough, stayed comfortable, and given up. But he chose the opposite. He got up earlier than everyone else, trained harder than anyone, endured brutal sessions, and pushed himself when no one was watching. That daily discomfort didn't just make him better physically, it made him stronger mentally. He trained his mind and body to never settle. And that mindset is what took him to the top. And it's not just about sports. Do you think Einstein transformed human knowledge without sitting for hours, days, years? facing doubts, failures, and problems that seemed impossible to solve? Of course not. His greatness came from his ability to endure frustration, to question everything, to train his mind day after day until he uncovered answers no one else could see. Discomfort was the price of his genius. My friend, learning is not always easy. It takes effort, discipline, and the courage to step out of the comfortable bubble you hide in. Every time you choose discomfort in order to learn, you're training not only your mind, but your character. Like a muscle, your mind grows when you push it just beyond what it's used to. Think about how many times you skipped doing what you really wanted just to stay comfortable. You wanted to train, but the couch won. You wanted to study, but Netflix was easier. You wanted to get in shape, but the pizza was too good. These small acts of comfort stack up and pull you further from your best self. Do you know what the Stoics used to do? They looked for discomfort. They slept on the floor, bathed in cold water, fasted. Not because they were masochists, but because they knew that every act of voluntary discomfort gave them power over themselves. And you can do the same. Every time you choose the discomfort of learning something new, of reading when you don't feel like it, of questioning what you thought was true, you're building the strong mind the Stoics stood for. Real growth isn't a smooth ride. Every step outside your comfort zone is a reminder that you're alive, and that you're building something inside yourself that no one can take away from you. Discipline, clarity, strength, and you get that by training your mind daily, with consistency, with intention. So my friend, next time you hear comfort whisper, just one more episode, or when your mind says, start tomorrow, it's Monday, remember, that moment defines who you are. If you listen to that voice and obey it, nothing changes. If you ignore it and choose discomfort, you grow. Try this. Choose one day with no social media. Instead, listen to a deep podcast or read a chapter of a book that teaches you something new. Challenge your thinking. Ask yourself what idea makes you the most uncomfortable today, and why you've never really faced it. Try this too. Pick a topic where you have a strong opinion, politics, religion, science, and spend 5 minutes trying to understand the opposite perspective. Not to argue, but to train your mind to listen without reacting. Ooh, that, my friend, is discomfort. Just remember, every time you step out of comfort, you educate your mind and strengthen your character. Every move beyond the familiar brings you closer to the disciplined, resilient mindset the Stoics lived by. So tell me, will you dare to feel uncomfortable today so you can be free tomorrow? Write in the comments, today I step out of my comfort zone. I'm Stoic. 3. Think for yourself and be free. Tell me something. How many times a day do you repeat what others say without even questioning it? What your coworker says, your partner, the news? I know everyone's got something to say, and sure, you're not an expert in everything. So who are you to argue, right? Well, let me tell you something. Every time you accept something as true without questioning it, you're not thinking for yourself. You're telling your mind it has nothing to say, nothing to contribute, nothing to wonder about. And in this age of constant noise, opinions, cliches, half-truths, thinking for yourself is an act of liberation. That's exactly what the Stoics practiced. They lived by questioning, not copying, not blindly accepting whatever others claimed. A mind that doesn't reflect is just an echo bouncing around a canyon. But a mind shaped by your own judgment is a compass in the dark fog. That compass guides you. It makes you the owner of your decisions and your life. Epictetus said it best. Only the educated are free. Accepting whatever comes your way without thinking doesn't free you. It just dulls your judgment. The Stoics didn't settle for easy answers. They questioned their own beliefs. If an idea lacked a solid foundation, they tossed it out, even if it came from their teacher. That's what built their mental independence. They taught that it's not enough to receive information. You must process it. Ask yourself, who's saying this? Why are they saying it? Does it even make sense? That daily discipline is what shaped the wise minds we admire today. But now, most people live on autopilot, repeating whatever they hear. The Stoics wanted to live with awareness. They chose their thoughts. They rejected the superficial. That mental routine, that is the foundation of a free, strong mind. Picture this. You get a shocking news story forwarded on WhatsApp. Everyone's already shared it, but you pause. You check the source. You read more perspectives. You ask yourself, is this even worth sharing? What does it mean? That one simple decision, not to forward it without thinking, protects you from false noise. It takes a minute, but it trains your mind to think freely. And that, my friend, is freedom. The Stoics lived this way, thinking clearly, critically, rationally. If someone said something, they didn't just believe it blindly, they examined it, not out of rebellion, but out of self-respect. Today, that same principle means asking yourself, does this make sense? Who's saying it? Why didn't I question it sooner? Not only will you avoid mistakes, you'll teach your mind to think for itself. So tell me, are you ready to let your mind become a compass instead of an echo? Start here. First, create the habit of asking 3 questions every time you hear or read something. Who's saying this? What's the evidence? What am I missing? Second, at least once a week, seek out an opposite perspective. Read an article or listen to someone who disagrees with you. Third, write your reasons and conclusions in a journal. Putting it into words helps you understand yourself better and spot flaws you didn't see before. Now imagine Marcus Aurelius catching you scrolling through your favorite influencer's Instagram, liking everything without thinking. You can almost hear him say, "Is your life really built on stickers and trendy quotes?" He'd ask for more depth, more truth, less noise, and that tells you something. If your mind lives on other people's surface-level opinions, it's not growing, it's just hypnotized. My friend, today I challenge you. Take the step, think for yourself. That is true freedom. It doesn't matter what others say. What matters is what you choose to believe. Thinking for yourself isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of your mental education. It's your shield against manipulation. Every time you ask instead of repeating, you strengthen your independence. Every time you research before assuming, you sharpen your judgment. So, wake up. The world already has too many echoes. Don't just follow the noise. Make sure every thought is yours. Make sure every decision bears your signature. Dare to question even what you've always believed. Choose ideas that challenge you, not ones that lull you to sleep. Today is the moment to take control of your mind and make it your greatest ally. If you train this habit, no opinion will manipulate you, no trend will carry you away. You'll be free, the owner of yourself, the owner of your life. So tell me, are you going to keep repeating what others think, or are you going to be the one who dares to think for yourself? 4. What you apply is what counts. Yes, you heard that right. What you apply is what really counts. You can read every book in the world and still get nowhere in life. Sounds harsh, I know, but it's the truth. Filling yourself with knowledge means nothing if you don't do anything with it. I'm not telling you to stop learning. Not at all. You should keep training your mind every single day, but don't confuse learning with hoarding information. What you know matters, but what you do with what you know, that matters even more. The Stoics understood this perfectly. They weren't just philosophers locked in thought, they were people of action. Seneca didn't just write about virtue and living a good life, he lived it. He faced exile, criticism, and the storms of Roman politics with courage. His life was his greatest lesson. Tell me, what good is it to have the biggest library in the world if you never open a single book? It's like being a chef in the most well-equipped kitchen on the planet, but never turning on the stove. That's how many of us move through life, collecting tools, courses, motivational videos, but not using them, not applying them. We walk around with a backpack full of ideas but never take a single step. And you know what happens when you live like that? One day you wonder why you're not making progress, and the answer is simple: because you never applied anything. It's time to wake up and use what you already have inside. Seneca didn't sugarcoat it. To know what is right and not do it is a form of weakness. That line hits like a punch, because it shows that knowing what to do isn't enough. You actually have to do it. Only action transforms learning into inner strength. Without action, knowledge just gathers dust. Picture this. You decide that this year you're finally going to save up for a new house. You binge watch videos and podcasts about finance, read a ton of articles, but you don't make a clear plan and you don't act. At the end of the month, you're still spending money on things you don't need. Nothing's changed. That simple step you didn't take, it could have already started shaping your future. The same thing happens in every other area of life. You sign up for a cooking class, you learn amazing recipes, but every night you're still ordering takeout. What's the point of learning if you don't put it into practice? A few weeks go by and you've already forgotten everything you learned. Ask yourself, how many times have you done exactly this? Because educating your mind every day isn't about piling up ideas, it's about putting them into action. That's where real change begins. Imagine that instead of staying stuck in theory, you apply just one simple idea. You open a savings account or you cook one new recipe each weekend. That's learning in action. That's the kind of learning that makes you better and helps you grow. Psychology confirms this too. A study from Stanford University found that when you start a task and leave it unfinished, your brain keeps nudging you to complete it, but only if you have a plan in motion. If you learn something today and apply it right away, your mind hooks into that momentum. If you leave it for tomorrow, you forget, and you're back to square one. It's like going to the gym. You can watch all the workout videos you want, but if you don't lift a single weight, your body won't change. Do you think just reading a book on time management will fix your calendar? Do you believe that liking a productivity video on YouTube will somehow organize your life? You and I both know it doesn't work that way. Change begins with action. If you want to be more organized, try the Pomodoro technique. Work in 25-minute blocks. If you want to wake up an hour earlier, put your alarm outside your room and force yourself to get up even when you don't feel like it. It's the same with every kind of learning. Only action turns knowledge into real power. The Stoics lived by this. They didn't sit around reading scrolls and then toss them aside. They trained their character with real-life tests, enduring cold, scarcity, criticism, and learning from every experience. That's how they educated their minds, turning ideas into actions. If Marcus Aurelius had written his meditations without ever applying them, they'd just be words. But he lived every single one, and that's why we admire him. And listen, you don't need a perfect plan. You don't have to change your life overnight. Real learning shows up in the small things, in your day-to-day. Make that call you've been putting off. Try that new technique that feels uncomfortable. Take action before you feel ready. That's how growth happens, step by step, challenge by challenge. So my friend, the next time you learn something that sparks something inside you, apply it that same day before you go to bed, even if it's just for 5 minutes. I challenge you, try a mini experiment. Put that idea into practice and quickly write down how it made you feel or what changed. Think about it. How many brilliant ideas have died in your mind because you never acted on them? You don't even remember them now. And do you know why? Because you never took action. Every time you apply what you've learned, you educate your mind, strengthen your character, and take one step closer to the life you want. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. The best moment is now. Every step you take, no matter how small, counts. Every action adds up, and those repeated actions shape your new identity. The identity of someone who follows through, who gets results, who moves ahead of the rest. So go ahead, break out of the paralysis, use what you already know, because only what you apply stays with you, transforms you, and takes you where you want to go. Knowledge without action is smoke, but action turns that smoke into fire. So, are you going to keep filling your head with theory, or will you light it up with action? If you accept the challenge, write in the comments, "I don't just learn, I act like a Stoic." Don't think twice. Put it in writing. It'll be a powerful commitment to yourself. 5. Use your mistakes as teachers. What if I told you that your mistakes aren't failures but lessons in disguise? I know, you don't like failing. You don't like being wrong. No one does. But let me say something that might make you uncomfortable. Without mistakes, there's no real growth. Success doesn't teach you anything new. It only confirms what you already know. Mistakes, on the other hand, are like secret letters life sends you with a clear message. Not this way. Try another. Think of a potter. He's shaping a vase, and just before it's finished, it breaks in his hands. He doesn't curse his luck or throw it away. He examines it. He looks for where the structure weakened, where the pressure wasn't right, and he adjusts for the next one. He even saves some of the broken pieces for future projects, because every shattered bit can become part of something new. Your mistakes are exactly that. Material for your next masterpiece. Marcus Aurelius captured it perfectly. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not just a pretty phrase, it's a way of living. The obstacle isn't the end of the road, it's the start of a new path. You lose a job you thought was perfect, and it feels like your world is falling apart. But that loss forces you to look for a direction you never would have dared to explore. A relationship ends, and it feels like part of you ends with it. But you move forward, turn inward, get to know yourself better, and grow as a person. That doesn't happen in spite of mistakes. It happens because of them. Imagine Epictetus living today. He misses a flight because he went to the wrong gate. Can you picture him yelling at the staff? I doubt it. He'd sit down, look around, and think, well, now I finally have time to read that book I've been putting off. And maybe, from that delay, one of his greatest reflections would be born. That's how the Stoics did it. They found value even in what looked like loss. Let me tell you about a big mistake I made some time ago. It was a relationship I neglected. It didn't end with a dramatic betrayal or a huge argument, but with a slow buildup of small things I ignored. I showed up late to our plans. I forgot important details. I kept telling myself, it's fine. I'm just busy. Next time I'll do better. But one day, there was no next time. I won't lie, it hurt. At first, I refused to accept it. I kept thinking it wasn't such a big deal, that the consequences were too harsh. But after going over it 1,000 times in my head, I finally saw something uncomfortable. The only good thing I could take from that loss was the lesson it held. And that lesson was clear. I had failed at being consistent and caring daily. I realized the real mistake wasn't just being late or forgetting details. It was not being present, not valuing the fact that relationships, like anything truly valuable, are fed by constant care. So I turned that mistake into a lesson. Since then, I listen more, I write things down, I show up on time. Not out of obligation, but because I now understand that respect and love are built day by day. That's how the Stoics did it. They didn't curse their misfortunes. They used every stumble as a reminder to strengthen their character. And that, my friend, is what it means to train the mind. To learn from what you lost so that what you have today grows stronger. Psychologist Adam Grant, author of Think Again, explains this powerfully. People who are willing to rethink and correct themselves evolve faster. The problem is, our ego hates admitting mistakes. It makes us feel weak, when in reality, it's the opposite. Recognizing that you were wrong is one of the greatest signs of strength. A mistake isn't a full stop, it's a comma, a not yet. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still figuring out how the path really works. So, are you ready to let your mistakes teach you instead of stop you? Every time you mess up, don't sit there stuck in self-criticism. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What did I learn? What will I do differently next time? Then share that lesson with someone. Talking about it not only helps you process it, it can also inspire others to handle their own failures better. And most importantly, take action. If you made a mistake and you've owned it, apply the lesson next time. The Stoics taught us that without action, there's nothing. The mind learns, but the body must carry it out. Mistakes are like strict teachers. They don't clap when you mess up. But if you pay attention, they'll teach you exactly what you need to avoid tripping over the same stone twice. Failure doesn't define you unless you ignore it. But if you treat it as a lesson, it sharpens you, strengthens you, and helps you grow. Next time you stumble, remember this. You're not falling backward, you're falling forward. Every mistake is a new lesson, one more step toward your best self. 6. Today, you decide who you'll be tomorrow. Every decision you make today is a brick in the house you'll live in tomorrow. And I want you to ask yourself right now, are you building a palace or a prison? Because, my friend, that house doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built with what you choose in this very moment, with what you decide to allow, and what you decide to cut off at the root. Imagine that each choice is like planting a seed in your mental garden. If you plant discipline, tomorrow you'll harvest success. If you plant excuses, tomorrow you'll reap regret. There's no mystery, no luck. What you cultivate today is what you harvest tomorrow. And I'm not just talking about the big life-changing decisions. You don't have to move to another country or quit your job to change your life. All it takes is choosing again and again the action that brings you closer to the person you want to become. Seneca put it simply and clearly, it's not that we have little time, it's that we waste a lot of it. And yes, the time you waste today won't come back tomorrow. But the decisions you make today will stay with you, and they'll shape who you become. The Stoics understood that every action, no matter how small, doesn't just affect your day, it shapes your character. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, explains that every action is a vote for the person you want to become, a vote in favor or a vote against. And those votes add up. You don't win an election with a single vote, but you do win it with the total sum of all the votes you cast day after day through your habits. The question is, who are you giving the majority to? Let's bring this down to earth. Imagine you get home at night, you're tired. You've got two options: let Netflix carry you into sleep, or read 5 pages of a book that inspires you. Seems like a small, even ridiculous decision, right? But those 5 pages do 2 things. First, they remind you that you can choose consciously. Second, they help build the identity of someone who doesn't let momentum decide their life. Tomorrow morning, not only will you have slept better, you'll have one more brick in the right house. My friend, your mind is also trained through conscious decisions. When you teach it to understand that the future isn't a mystery, it's a consequence. That the you of tomorrow isn't a stranger, it's the direct result of today's choices. The Stoics practiced this every day. They didn't wait for some heroic moment to act with virtue. They practiced it in the everyday, in the small, invisible choices no one else noticed. Ask yourself, what decisions should I make today to become the person I want to be tomorrow? They don't have to be grand gestures. The key is that they're intentional, that they're aligned with who you want to become. When in doubt, pause and ask yourself, does this bring me closer or take me further away from my goal? Most people don't even make this pause, but it makes all the difference. Picture your future self thanking you for that decision. Make it real in your mind. Imagine how you'll feel, where you'll be, what you'll have achieved because of that one choice. Set a daily commitment so small, you can't fail. Maybe it's reading 2 pages, doing 10 push-ups, writing 3 sentences, and stick to it, no matter what. Because it's not the size of the action that transforms you. It's the consistency with which you repeat it. If you plant excuses today, you'll harvest regret tomorrow. If you plant action today, you'll harvest freedom tomorrow. And there are no shortcuts here. Your life tomorrow is the exact invoice of what you do today. So don't delegate. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't dream about a better version of yourself magically appearing. Today, you decide who you'll be tomorrow. And every time you choose with intention, you're training your mind to be the architect, not the victim of your own destiny. 7. One book can change your life. One single book can be the spark that ignites a change you've been putting off for years. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Has it ever happened to you that a book found its way into your hands right when you needed it most? Maybe you saw it at a friend's place. Maybe someone lent it to you without being asked. Or maybe you stumbled upon it in a bookstore by pure chance, and there it was, waiting for you. That's no coincidence. That's a call to change, a call to educate your mind, to grow. Think of books as keys. Each one opens a new door in your mind, but it only works if you're willing to turn the key and step through. You could have shelves full of books, but if you never open one, those keys will stay rusty. The difference is made when you finally grab one and choose to use it. Epictetus said it plainly, only the educated are free. And education isn't about memorizing facts. It's about expanding your perspective, breaking mental chains, and freeing yourself from beliefs that have been holding you back. The Stoics knew this well. They read to strengthen their character, to challenge their thinking, and to train the mind the same way they trained the body. Marcus Aurelius filled his meditations with reflections inspired by what he read and lived, and then tested those ideas on the battlefield and in political life. Ryan Holiday, in his book The Obstacle is the Way, shares how the right book at the right time can completely transform how you face a challenge. Sometimes all it takes is one page to give you the courage to make a tough decision. Science backs this too. A study from the University of Toronto found that reading deep, meaningful stories boosts empathy, critical thinking, and creativity. But for that to happen, you have to read with intention, with openness, ready to let the words challenge you, to let the stories pull you in and live through them as if they were your own. That's the magic of reading. It takes you to places you never thought you'd reach. It lifts you, educates you, makes you sharper, more grounded, more confident. Sometimes books are like silent allies that show up out of nowhere. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. For them, reading wasn't a way to pass time. It was a way to train the mind to endure, to rise, to evolve. They didn't have social media or video tutorials. Their main tool for growth was the written word. What they learned in those texts, they applied in the arena, in the Senate, or in the middle of hardship. And today, in the middle of constant noise, notifications, stress, pressure, opening a book is like stepping into a secret refuge. Imagine you've had a rough day, your mind racing with 1,000 problems, and you decide to sit down for a few minutes with a book. Suddenly, you're immersed in a whole new world. A calm washes over you. You stop thinking about work, that argument you had, or the tough day waiting for you tomorrow. Little by little, the act of reading slows your breathing and shifts your mindset. What once felt like a wall now starts to look like a doorway. And what's even more powerful is this. It doesn't just change how you think in that moment. It plants a seed in your mind that tomorrow could keep you from making the same mistake again. Read at least 5 pages a day, but read with full presence. No phone beside you. And when you come across a phrase that hits you, write it down. Think about how you can apply it to your life this week. Don't highlight out of habit, highlight to act. Because books aren't just paper, they're seeds of transformation. They can give you the exact words your mind needs to make a decision, to let something go, or to finally take the leap into something new. The question is, are you going to keep stacking books like decorations? Or are you going to let one change your story? If today you're ready to open a book and use it as a key for your own change, write in the comments, "I read to free myself." Let it be your commitment to a mind that never stops growing. 8. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. If you're not learning something new today, you're not just staying the same, you're falling behind. And faster than you think. Life isn't a still image, it's more like a downward moving escalator. If you're not climbing a step every single day, you'll end up going down even if you're just standing still. My grandfather used to tell me a story when I was a kid, one of those that sound simple but leave a message that never fades. He talked about Esteban, a carpenter from a small coastal village. For decades, Esteban crafted the finest furniture in the region. He used the same tools his father had passed down to him. His reputation was unmatched, and people would say that his hands made pieces with a soul. Wealthy families traveled from all over the country just to have him build furniture for their homes. But one day, new craftsmen arrived in the village. armed with modern tools. They could do in one day what took Esteban a whole week. At first, he just shrugged it off. "My work is different. It's authentic, and people will recognize that," he kept saying. But as time passed, the orders began to slow down. Families wanted their furniture faster and cheaper. Esteban's workshop, once full of energy, began to fall silent. My grandfather always paused at this part, as if he wanted me to hear that silence, to imagine the scent of uncut wood and tools collecting dust. It was hard for him, he'd say. He resisted the idea that the world had changed. At first, he didn't want to see it. But one morning, staring at his empty hands, he realized the only good thing he could take from that moment was the lesson. And so he learned. Esteban didn't abandon his style, but he decided to learn how to use the new tools and techniques. Not only did he master them, he combined them with decades of experience. He began to create furniture with the precision of modern methods and the warmth of handmade work. You know what happened? Within a few months, his shop was filled with orders again. And the best part, my grandfather said, was that now the young people from the village were coming to learn from him. He had gone from being ignored for not adapting to being a renewed master. That old story taught me that learning isn't about betraying who you are. It's about finding new ways to stay alive and strong. And today's world is no different. It moves so fast that if you blink, something new pops up that you don't understand. Technology evolves, the rules change without warning, and if you're not moving, you're falling behind. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't wait for life to knock them down to react. They prepared every day for whatever could come. It's not enough to adapt once everything collapses. The key is to stay ahead, to gain ground before change arrives. Because it will come. And when it does, your mind has to be ready to keep climbing, not to be swept away. Nowadays, the people who commit to learning something new each day put themselves ahead of 99% of others, because not everyone is willing to get uncomfortable to grow. Lifelong learning makes you stronger, more valuable, and much harder to replace. And this isn't just about work. In your personal life too, learning new skills, opening up to different perspectives, and challenging your own beliefs will make you freer and more confident. The philosopher Epictetus said that real progress is the kind that transforms how you live. It's not about collecting facts like coins. It's about integrating what you learn so you can make better choices, respond better to problems, and stay grounded when everything changes. So, if you don't want to be left behind, here are a few simple steps to keep your mind moving. Dedicate at least 10 minutes a day to learning something new. Whether it's a language, a technique, or just an idea that expands how you see the world. And push yourself out of your comfort zone from time to time. Sign up for a course in something that intrigues you. Go to a talk on a subject you've never explored. Or try a workshop you never imagined yourself doing. Those experiences don't just teach you something. They train you to see the world through new eyes. That is the fuel of the mind. Exposing yourself to the unfamiliar. Absorbing what's useful, and growing because of it. Discomfort is a small price to pay for the freedom that learning gives you. My friend, today, learning is no longer optional. It's survival. So ask yourself, do you want to move forward, or are you going to let the world leave you behind? 9. Don't walk alone, find mentors. Let me tell you something. Trying to do everything alone doesn't make you stronger. It makes you slower. It's like walking in total darkness without a flashlight. Sure, you're moving, maybe even making progress, but you'll keep stumbling over the same stones others already learned to avoid. But when you have a mentor, someone who's already walked that path, it's like flipping on a light. The obstacles are still there, but now you see them before they hit you in the face. Even the greatest minds knew this. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, didn't become wise by learning alone. He studied Epictetus, listened to teachers, absorbed wisdom from others. Because, as he made clear himself, there's no shame in accepting that someone knows more than you. It's pure wisdom. The Stoics repeated this over and over. We need living examples. Seneca wrote, "He who teaches, learns." That's the magic of mentorship. When you learn from someone, not only do you grow, but the person guiding you strengthens what they already know. And you know what? Today, we have a luxury the Stoics never had. We have access to millions of books, podcasts, interviews, all just a click away. In 90 minutes, you can learn from an expert what took them a lifetime to discover. Can you imagine what Epictetus would have thought of that? He, who taught in a humble courtyard to a handful of students, would have been amazed that today anyone can listen to the wisest minds in the world from their own couch. And yet, what do most of us do? We try to figure it all out on our own, convinced that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Big mistake. Seneca already said it. No wind is favorable to the sailor who doesn't know which port he's heading for. And that's the point. A mentor won't sail your ship for you, but they'll help you read the compass, find your direction, and avoid getting lost at sea. Imagine you want to start investing, but you have no idea where to begin. You could dive in alone and lose money with every mistake. Or you could talk to someone who's already been through it, learn from their warnings, and gain in months what it took them years to figure out. That guidance doesn't erase the effort, it focuses it, it speeds it up. Want to learn how to cook? Ask that relative whose stews always win over the whole table. Want to run a marathon? Talk to your friend who's been training for years. Want to get better at your job? Watch how that coworker handles what you're still trying to master. Because here's the truth. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to solve every question on your own. If you learn from others, you'll avoid repeating mistakes that have already been solved before. And I'm not just talking about famous mentors. I mean learning from your neighbor, your friend, your teacher, your boss. Anyone who's walked further than you in a specific area has something to offer. If you shut yourself off to that, you fall behind. If you embrace it, you move forward, faster and more confidently. Educating your mind isn't just about reading a book or listening to a podcast. It's also about surrounding yourself with minds that already think at a higher level than yours. Every conversation with someone more experienced is like invisible training for your character. The Stoics did this naturally. They exchanged letters, debated, challenged each other because they understood that the mind is sharpened in the company of others. Think of it this way. Every day you choose to learn from someone else, you gain time, you gain perspective, you gain access to roads you might only have discovered after 20 falls. And that's the true power of a mentor. They give you the chance to live more lives in one, because you learn not only from your own failures, but from theirs too. So next time you want to get better at something, don't think you have to do it all alone. Lean on someone who's already been there. It's not about walking alone, it's about walking better. The Stoics knew this well. Growth came easier when knowledge was shared. Do the same. Surround yourself with great minds, and your growth will stop being slow and clumsy. It'll become unstoppable. Now tell me in the comments, who has been your greatest mentor? Who taught you that life lesson you still carry with you? And if you haven't found them yet, write, "Good company makes me wiser." Then protect your attention at all costs. If you control your attention, you control your life. And if you don't, someone else will do it for you. And today, there's no shortage of candidates, social media, notifications, ads popping up after every video. They all want a piece of your mind. If you're not careful, you'll end up giving away your best hours to the noise instead of investing them in what truly matters. Imagine your attention is like water in a pitcher. Every notification you check without thinking, every ad that stops you, every moment wasted scrolling is a small hole in that pitcher. The water starts to leak, and before you realize it, you're empty. The day is gone, and your energy has been drained by things you can't even remember. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius summed it up in one sentence. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, and your thoughts depend on where you choose to place your attention. If you let everything in, your mind becomes fragmented, distracted, and exhausted. If you choose wisely, you gain clarity and inner strength to decide how you want to live. Picture Marcus Aurelius watching you check your phone every 30 seconds, unfocused, distracted, anxious. He'd look at you puzzled, trying to make sense of it all. And what do you think he'd say? He probably wouldn't go easy on you. He'd take the device from your hands and ask you calmly but firmly, "Is it yours, or are you its?" Because that's the truth. When you don't protect your attention, you stop being in charge of yourself. You become a slave. And this isn't just philosophy. Johann Hari, in his book Stolen Focus, explains how the modern economy is built to hijack your attention. Every platform competes to keep you hooked, not for your well-being, but because your attention equals profit. Still not convinced? Science backs it too. Researchers at Princeton University found that multitasking doesn't just lower your productivity, it actually exhausts your brain. The result? You do more things, but all of them poorly, and you end up more drained than when you started. That constant mental juggling robs you twice of your time and your energy. You felt it. You sit down to read, but you barely get through a page before your phone buzzes. You check it, go back to the book, another alert pops up. When you finally close the book, you realize you didn't retain anything. You were there, but not really. Your attention kept bouncing around, and all that's left is frustration. That's why I want to challenge you. Try this for 1 week. Turn off all notifications on your phone. No beeps, no vibrations, no blinking lights. Just you, deciding when to look. At first, it'll feel strange, as like something's missing. But slowly, you'll start to feel the change. Your focus will improve. You'll sleep better. And more importantly, your mind will feel calm again. That silence brings clarity. And that's exactly what the Stoics practiced when they stepped away from the noise to reflect. Do it, and you'll see your mind begin to rest, and your life will start to feel more like it belongs to you. The key lies in small decisions that protect your attention. Start by cutting the unnecessary. You don't need to see every Instagram post the second it goes live. Set specific times to check it, and stop jumping at every buzz or ping. Create blocks of deep work, even just 25 minutes, where nothing exists except the task in front of you. You'll be surprised how much progress you make when your energy is fully focused. And don't forget about the end of the day. Before bed, give your mind a break. Disconnect from screens. Even if it's just a few minutes, spend that time reading a real book, journaling, or just having a quiet conversation. That space, free from distraction, clears your mind and sets the stage for real rest. Remember, your attention is your most valuable resource. Everything you do, think, and feel starts there. If you let others control it, you'll end up living someone else's story. But if you protect it, you'll build your own path. With clarity, with intention, and with peace. And believe me, your mind will thank you for it. 11. Celebrate your small wins. Ah, the small wins. Those big, overlooked moments. Those little steps you take each day toward your goals. The ones you almost never acknowledge. Stop waiting for huge achievements to feel proud of yourself. What truly keeps you going isn't the crowns or the awards. It's the quiet, tiny victories that seem insignificant, but actually make all the difference. If you're always waiting for the big moment, you'll go through life feeling unmotivated, stuck in the sense that nothing you do is ever enough. The Stoics understood this deeply. The key is recognizing that every step counts, even when it seems small. Think of your life like a castle you're building. Every win is a stone you place in the foundation. If you don't value each stone, you'll never see the fortress rising. But if you learn to celebrate them, the walls start to grow, sometimes without you even noticing. Today you lay one brick, tomorrow another, and then one day you look back and realize you've built a massive wall that protects you. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. In Meditations, he didn't write to boast about great battles won. He wrote to acknowledge his daily progress. Every time he acted with justice, temperance, or courage, he recorded it. He didn't wait to become a perfect sage overnight. He knew that true growth is slow, and that every little step was worth noting. Epictetus summed it up in a phrase you should carve into your memory. No great thing is created suddenly. And yes, that includes your own life. Tell me, How many times do you do something well and completely brush it off because in your head, it wasn't enough? You get up with the first alarm, you finish a pending task, or you resist the urge to check your phone while working, and instead of giving yourself credit, you dismiss it like it means nothing. That's the mistake, because every time you acknowledge one of those small victories, your mind learns it's worth continuing, and the more you celebrate them, the easier it becomes to do it again tomorrow. Imagine you decide to spend just 10 minutes a day learning a language. Today you study a few new words, tomorrow a few more. At first it feels silly, like it doesn't even count. But if you celebrate it, if you recognize the effort, your mind starts to build a habit around it. And one day, almost without realizing it, you're able to hold a conversation. Was it a sudden leap? No. It was the sum of hundreds of small wins you didn't ignore. The Stoics knew that progress isn't loud, it's quiet and patient. Seneca said it with power. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Every time you acknowledge a small win, you're reminding yourself that you are being tested, that you are growing. It doesn't mean the challenge is over. It means you're stronger than you were yesterday. And listen, my friend, this has a massive impact on your life. When you celebrate the small things, you train your mind to want more. Your brain starts to associate effort with pleasure. And that's the real trick to maintaining discipline in the long run. Because the big goals, running a marathon, building a business, becoming a better person, they don't happen all at once. They happen through a series of moments when you did the right thing, even if it was just for 5 minutes, even if it seemed small. So stop brushing off those little moments. Do something simple. Write your progress in a notebook, like Marcus Aurelius did. Jot it down at night, even if it's just one line. Today I got up without hitting snooze. Today I stuck to my workout. Today I responded with patience. That journal becomes a mirror, one that shows you that yes, you are moving forward. Here's another idea. Give yourself a symbolic gesture of recognition. Not a meaningless reward, but something that marks the moment. Make yourself a great cup of coffee after finishing a task, or take a peaceful walk once you've hit your goal for the day. Small rituals that send a clear message to your mind. This thing you did, it matters. Because in the end, life doesn't transform through one lucky break or one extreme effort. Life transforms through the accumulation of small victories that, over time, turn into giants. That's the wall you're building, brick by brick, until one day, your inner fortress is unshakable. Now tell us in the comments, what was your last small win? It doesn't matter if it was getting up early, saying no to a distraction, or finishing a tough task. Write it down and celebrate it with all of us. I'll be reading, and together, we'll build your castle, one stone at a time. And let me tell you something, celebrating your small wins gives you momentum, yes, but that momentum fades if you don't feed it daily. And the fuel for your progress isn't applause, it's daily learning. Just like a fire needs wood to keep burning, your mind needs constant knowledge. So stay with me just a moment longer, and I'll show you the ritual that separates those who stay stuck from those who truly transform. 12. Make learning your daily ritual. Don't wait for dramatic, once-in-a-lifetime changes. Transformation doesn't arrive in a sudden moment of magic or a random flash of enlightenment. What truly changes you is what you do every single day, even when no one's watching, even when it feels like nothing is happening. That's where the real power lies. Daily learning is like a drop of water falling onto stone. One drop doesn't do much, but repeated day after day, it eventually wears away even the hardest rock. Your mind works the same way. A podcast today, a page tomorrow, a meaningful conversation the next. When you look back, you're not the same person anymore. Epictetus said it clearly, not just in theory but in practice. It's not what happens to you but how you react that matters. And reacting with a mindset of learning is one of the wisest ways to live. Every day brings something you could easily overlook. a frustration, a mistake, a passing comment. If you ignore it, it becomes just another annoyance. If you pay attention and learn from it, it becomes wisdom. Imagine Epictetus living today. He'd probably have a habit tracking app on his phone, showing an unbroken streak of learning. Not one day missed. And if someone asked why, he'd probably smile and say, because a day without learning is a day wasted. Ali Abdaal, author and content creator, talks about this constantly. In his videos and books, he shows how small daily learning habits add up to extraordinary results over time. It's not about cramming in entire books. It's about being consistent. Because time does the heavy lifting. Science agrees. A study from the University of London showed that learning a little every day strengthens brain connections far more than learning sporadically. The brain doesn't grow through binges. It grows through consistency. That consistency is what turns information into real, usable knowledge. Think about your own daily life. Maybe you've got 20 minutes on the train or in the car. You could waste it complaining about the weather or mindlessly scrolling through social media. Or you could listen to a podcast on philosophy or personal growth. Do that every day for a month, and something starts to shift. You think more clearly, you respond with more calm, you show up differently in your work. Without even realizing it, the drop has started to shape the stone. Let me tell you about a man who made a simple commitment. Read 20 minutes a day. Not an hour, not a book a week, just 20 minutes. A year later, he'd read 25 books. More importantly, he'd changed the way he saw the world. His conversations were deeper, his choices wiser. That little habit became a radical transformation. And I'll tell you the truth. That man was me years ago when I finally chose to train my mind, embrace consistency, and change my life. So if you want learning to become part of who you are, don't leave it to chance. Make it a ritual. Choose a fixed time each day, like an unbreakable appointment. Set the environment. The book ready on the table, the podcast downloaded, the quiet space waiting. And when you finish, reflect on what you learned. Write it down, because what isn't recorded is forgotten. Make every day a chance to grow. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes or an hour. What matters is the repetition. That drop that seems so small today, it's the very thing that could make you a completely different person a year from now. In the end, real change doesn't come from random effort or rare inspiration. It comes from small habits repeated until they become part of who you are. Make learning your daily ritual, and you'll slowly, surely shape your mind into an unstoppable force. Educating your mind every day is what gives you the discipline and clarity to stop depending on what happens outside of you. Every habit and every small victory are bricks building your inner fortress. And when your mind is trained, nothing can knock you down. Not sadness, not chaos, not setbacks. That is the kind of strength no one can take from you. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, I choose to educate my mind every day, like a Stoic. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are, the ones who made it all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss what's coming next. Also, check the description box. We've left some resources there to help you dive deeper into Stoic teachings. Our goal is to bring you as much value as possible. And if at any point you feel like supporting us so we can keep creating this kind of content, you'll find how to do that in the pinned comment. Now, I invite you to explore the playlist on screen. It's designed to help you face life with greater wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep growing together. Until the next talk, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.